Good morning and welcome to the Business Today show market opening. Let's take a look at what's hot in the corporate and financial world this morning. Is yet another record high posted by stocks in the US. S&P 500 and the Dow both hit records as tech stocks rise again. Asia takes a breather after a New Year's rally. Crude oil also slips with supplies from Venezuela set to flood the market. Gold and silver retreat slightly after surging in trade last night. Government to announce the first advanced GDP estimates for the current fiscal later today. Polls put the expected economic growth rate at around 7.5% after an unexpectedly high 8% surge in the first half of this year. The estimates will be key to Budget 2026 announcements. Government rolls out a massive youth skilling plan for AI, 1 million youth to be trained in relevant AI skills in the next 1 year. IT Minister Ashwini Vaishnav claims a 33% surge in AI hirings, announces 38,000 computers capable of advanced AI tasks have been made available to provide affordable access to world-class resources. U.S. Customs and Border Protection Agency puts a figure to the Trump tariff collections, says we'll have to refund nearly $134 billion if the U.S. Supreme Court holds the duties illegal. The apex court has been hearing the cases since November and is expected to issue rulings on some cases this Friday. Spotlight on Tata Capital and Misho as the mandatory share lock-in ends today. More than 4,500 crores worth of stock will be up for trade. Focus also on Reliance Industries after yesterday's meltdown wiped off around 1 lakh crore rupees of investor wealth. Lots to track this morning. Let's take a look at the overnight setup and how we are stacked up as we head into trade. Just about 6 minutes to go and what we're looking like in the pre-open. Steady cues from Wall Street overnight. Asia as well looking pretty decent. Perhaps at this point of time, just about following the cues from Wall Street and has overall actually been also extending gains as well at the start of the new year. We're tracking, of course, our own GDP numbers as well and looking forward to direction on that front as we continue to count down to budget. Just a month or so to go, a little less now. And there you have some of the tech action, and I'll bring up Asia for you also in just a moment. Brokerage firm Nuvama is bullish on Q3 earnings. It's expecting Nifty 50 revenues to grow 8% year on year, profits to rise 5%, but EPS growth to remain flat compared to a 5% rise in the first half. That's the latest coming in from Nuvama on Q3 earnings, saying that at this point of time, they're expecting Nifty 50 revenues up about 8% year on year, profits up 5%, EPS growth to actually remain flat compared to a 5% rise in the first half. So that's not necessarily a runaway indicator coming in from Nuvama, and we'll of course talk more with our guests about this in just a moment as well. But these are some of the key macro indicators we're now looking out for, whether it be of course, what's happening on the GDP, what's happening on the budget, and of course, earnings as well. Remember, the expected economic growth rate is around 7.5% after the unexpectedly high 8% surge in the first half of the year. So this is kind of in line with what Nuvama is saying on Q3 earnings as well. Let me welcome in Shailendra Bhatnagar, of course, from our team here at Business Today and our guest for this morning as well. And, let's discuss some of these key indicators. Sharad Avasthi, Head of Research at PCG Smiths, is joining us this morning. Shail, if I could come to you first on the market setup, 5 minutes to go. What's the pre-open looking like? We'll go back to Shail in just a moment. Sharad, good morning. When it comes to some of the macro indicators and what we're hearing, whether it be on those advanced GDP numbers and what could be expected, whether it be the latest from Nuvama in terms of Q3 earnings and how they're expecting Nifty 50 earnings to stack up, are you in line with these kind of indicators, or are you expecting a slightly better performance?
Yeah, I think in terms of GDP, I would be expecting a similar performance. I think last quarter was a blowout kind of performance, but I think the way IIP and inflation are panning out, it seems that we are in a very good situation. So most probably GDP numbers should continue to be good. What we are largely trying to track is the capex growth that we expect over the next 1 or 2 quarters, because we are expecting a lot of activity on the civil infra side. So I think capex cycle would be stronger. That is something we are looking at. So GDP growth, yeah, it will be in line with what you are talking about. A bit lower than last quarter, but I think much better than the world averages and still better than most countries in the world. And regarding earnings growth, I think maybe the earnings part or the PAT part could ideally surprise you. The top line parts needs to be, introspected much more clearly with respect to the GST cuts, etc., across various categories. But I certainly think that demand and bottom line side Q3 numbers should surprise most market estimates on the upside.
All right. Great. Let me also pull up Reliance. And remember that stock is in focus for a bunch of reasons at this point of time. Let's just pull up how it's doing today. They have come out with clarifications, of course, with regards to with regards to some of the news reports that were put out as well. So at this point of time, let's just pull up Reliance and see how it's stacking up ahead of trade this morning. RIL today is just flat. So after that kind of sell-off yesterday, looking a little steadier in trade right now. So that's on Reliance for you. All right, let's take a look at some of the other stocks in news as well and what we're tracking for you this morning. Tata Cap, let's pull that up as well. That's the other major stock in focus. The company will see the end of its 3-month shareholder lock-in on Wednesday. That's about 2% of its outstanding equity becoming eligible for trading. The stock, which traded in a narrow range now for the last 3 months or so, is moving above its issue price just recently, gained about 6% on Friday. So the shares unlocking are valued at about 2,573 crore rupees, and we're keeping an eye on Tata Cap today. Shara, let me get your view on Tata Capital.
I think it's a bit on the expensive side, though it's a strong franchise and the type of growth they are talking long term will be there. But already trading at 4.25 times price to book, I don't think there's much scope for appreciation. And once the lock-in opens, I think high probability that we might see some fresh inflows coming in terms of selling orders. So I would try to avoid at these valuations.
All right, that's on Tata Capital. Let's just count down to market opening now. A whole host of stocks in news this morning. Titan, of course, a strong Q3 update coming in, 38% domestic sales growth, and we'll bring up Titan for you shortly. Banks continue to be in focus as well. RBI has released draft norms on dividend and remittance of profit by banks. Biocon is going to be in the news, unveiling plans on 3 new oncology biosimilars. M&M, we've been talking about auto, and M&M is unveiling a 3XO EV starting at an ex-showroom price of 13.89 lakhs. Of course, we've been tracking all of the auto names on the back of sales figures as well as auto anchor stocks as well. Senco Gold Q3 revenue is also up about 51%. So if we focus a little bit on the earnings, Senco Gold, Lodha Q3 pre-sales are up 25%. Keep an eye on Lodha as well. Let's pull up some of those gainers on opening ticks right now. There you have it. Nifty down just about 0.2%. So looking a little weak this morning, shaving off some of the gains that we've seen around the New Year period. Nifty Bank also just a marginal downtick. So we've been talking about how the valuations, of course, are keeping markets from moving to further levels right now. I think it will require, and we'll get Sharad's view on that, a little bit more in terms of the earnings stacking up in order to now move the needle. Mid-cap 100 also about flat to negative at this point of time. And let's bring up the movers and gainers as well. Titan, 3% on the back of earnings. Hindalco, Hero Motor, some of these names following suit. Grasim, Tata Consumer, M&M, all actually in the green this morning. Let's also take a look at where perhaps some of the pressure is coming from. Cipla, L&T, Eternal, ONGC, that's where we've got a little bit of the downside this morning. Let me just focus on Titan for a moment. Nomura also putting a buy with a target of 4,500, saying that the Q3 numbers are a significant beat and consolidated sales growth is actually, even ex-bullion, is actually much above estimates. So a 2.75% uptick on a Titan, just an opening trade, 38% domestic sales growth, that's year on year. Sharad, let's get your view on Titan this morning.
Yeah, I think the quarterly numbers are a positive, particularly the non-bullion growth that you're talking about. I think that's a very positive development. It's been some time that they have not been able to pull up, the socks on the rest of the business. It's primarily been gold prices that have been very supportive for them, even in this year. And in the past also, whenever we have seen abnormal growth. So I think finally the other businesses picking up will be a very positive development for them. and the markets obviously are reacting positively. They should have reacted. But in terms of valuation, I think unless and until we look at a strong re-rating in forward earnings going ahead, I think what are we expecting next year? 65, 70 rupees kind of earnings. So already trading at what, roughly 60, 65 times. So it doesn't leave much on the table. So I think, yeah, usually it trades at premium valuation, has traded like that for quite some time. But the type of growth rates we are talking 27, 28, 18, 20%, unless and until that receives an uptake, I think it would not be decent, to buy Titan at these valuations.
All right, Senco Gold. Let's take a look at that one. So clearly now we're seeing the effect of all of the action on precious metals. Senco Gold also up about 11% in trade. Q3 revenue up 51%. That's year on year again. Just look at that spike this morning. Higher gold prices, of course, festive season, all boosting those numbers. So 51% uptick on Q3 revenue for Senco Gold. Let's take a look at the charts on this one. 357, 358 is where it's trading at right now. Let's also pull up some of the trend charts if possible. Sharad, the same logic for a Senco, or would you perhaps stick to one or two stocks, on the gold play, or are you feeling bullish across the board on some of these names?
No, I think if you want to stick to something like gold, usually these jewelry companies don't make money out of higher gold prices. They're particularly hedged. I think the jewelry theme as such is very strong in India, with the working woman population expected to improve substantially and contribute substantially to GDP growth in the years to come. That is like an underutilized population part that is there in the country, and I think more and more women are joining the workforce. So I think particularly jewelry, etc., should have a very decent run up even going ahead. Senco, the big difference is, what are you trading at? Next year, you are expecting somewhere around 20 kind of earnings, even with 10, 11% kind of growth. So I think there is possibility that this growth trigger gets rated higher with, gold prices supportive, and, urban consumption, etc., going up, and the women workforce going up. So I think Senco is a good bet at these levels. Initially, what you could target is somewhere around 2021x. So 400, 420 could be particular levels that you could look at. The valuation is the big difference between Titan and Senco. So I think Senco is trading at decent valuations. So you can target 20, 25 times. So consider 420 as your first targets.
All right, let's take a look at some of the other movers. We've got a Bliss GVS Pharma that's running up. Let's pull that one up for you. That's 4-5%. Cupid is steady today, 4-5% after the recent rout on that one. So possibly stay away for the moment given the kind of route it's seen, but just to mark it, that it seems to be coming back or clawing back a little bit. Metal, something like a Nalco, still continued action there, but it's more interesting to track all the earnings action right now as it starts to come in. Let's also pull up, for instance, a Kalyan, a Lodha, just to take a look at some of the other earnings related numbers and see how they're faring as well today. We've got other stocks in news, for example, Biocon, as I mentioned. We've got Bliss Pharma moving. So it's a little bit of pharma and healthcare that we're seeing some news-based action in. Misho, let's talk about that. Now, the e-commerce firm is set to see the end of a one-month shareholder lock-in on Wednesday. And that's 2% of its outstanding equity. It's going to become eligible for trading. Misho is down right now, but this is what's happening there. The stock has been trading in a narrow range, if you remember, for the last few months. It's moved above its issue price just recently, and it's becoming eligible for trading according to Novama. At the current market price, the shares are valued at about close to 2,000 crores. So basically 2% of its outstanding equity is now going to be up for trade. And at the current market price, the shares are valued at close to 2,000 crores right now. So that's the end of a one-month shareholder lock-in coming in, and equity becoming eligible for trading in Misho. So that's quite a substantial chunk. It's trading at about 174 right now, down 4% today. Sharad, I know that many times you don't like to talk about the recent listings, but any view on Misho here?
Yeah, I think after the recent correction, it's come down to what, 5.5 times the next year EV to sales. And I think the ideal multiples could be, 7.5 times. So you could be looking at decent upside, but hold on for a year. And as you rightly said, that since new liquidity is coming in, they might have different reasons to exit. So might be you get it lower. So stagger your buying over the next, a month or so, and gradually keep buying every 2-3% if that the stock sees. But I think there could be a possibility that you could be looking at, targets which could be higher by around 25 to 30% from current levels. So I think there is decent upside. You could be looking at what, 182 into another 30%. So you could looking at around 240, 250, yeah, somewhere around those levels. The recent highs probably, yeah, they could coincide. So I think 250, 260 could be fair valuation over the next 1 year. So that's decent upside, but be prepared for some volatility and some upheavals here and there. So only those people who can take a bit of risk should ideally be considering it. But I think next 1 year, yeah, if the markets are supportive and everything is a risk on, which it should be, then probably this is something that has targets of around 250 to 60.
All right, that's on Misho. Now, Honasa has acquired 95% share capital of BTM Ventures. Let's pull that up for you. The stock's up about 2%, so just marking that one for you. Meanwhile, Keynes, Tech, Dixon, they're falling, even as Jefferies has actually said that they're expecting strong growth from EMS firms all the way through FY28. But we're seeing a bit of a downtick coming in on these Keynes and Dixon. And in fact, there's about some amount of profit booking coming in. I guess that's what it's being allocated to. And this is despite positive brokerage views and upgrades coming in on both of those counters. So just marking those for you as well. And I do want to just go back to Reliance for a moment. We've got Jefferies coming in on Reliance as well. And just pulling up the report for you, they've maintained a target of 1830 on an RIL. Remember, we've also had some amount of clarifications coming in from Reliance saying that there's no linkage between its share price movement and reports on Russian oil imports. They've not purchased Russian oil for Jan delivery. Remember, this is in response to a Bloomberg report claiming the same. Bloomberg has also lately clarified on this. And yes, so Reliance saying all disclosures are in line with SEBI regulations. They've not purchased Russian oil and there's no linkage with this to its share price. Jefferies has said that the company has outperformed the Nifty by 19% in the calendar year 25 on restoration of double-digit consumer consolidated EBITDA growth. And they've seen a tariff hike and Geo's listing by the middle of 26 and restoration of mid-teen growth in retail by FY27. So positive on telecom, positive on retail, and outperforming the index already, seeing double-digit consolidated EBITDA growth. So very, very strong commentary coming in there on an RIL. They've maintained a buy on that one. Sharad, did the recent move rattle you at all? 1 day, 1 lakh crore lost on an RIL. I can see Sharad smiling. In the long run, I'm not sure how much of a dent it is. It's still just about 1.5% down for the month, but back in action today.
Yeah, certainly unnerving, when a large cap stock and that to Reliance, which is one of the largest players, where you get no direct correlation through certain news and the stock corrects by 4 or 5% in a day. That is something that will unnerve people. But I think what we are looking at is, beyond the points that you have said, I think the renewable energy roadmap, as they present it more clearly, I think geo listing is something that could have some positive impact, but most of it is already priced in the SOTP because we are valuing it. Some change in ARPUs, yeah, that is something that could be viewed as positive because the ARPUs are at a discount to what Bharti, etc. are getting. So I think that is one place there could be some improvement. Retail would continue to do that, but the valuations are already there in the SOTP, which are considering 1850. But I think the new energy business, if they concretize plans across, hydrogen, CBM, and solar, I think that could be a big value unlocker for them because I think growth there should be very good. And the plans are very concretized for them with the SW solar stake, etc., everything coinciding. So I think that could be a good value unlocker for them. So RE is something that could be a big value unlocker, RE or alternate energy as you call it. So I think a big valuation uptick could come from there if they concretize the plans. Right now, even if you consider current prices and the SOTP valuation without that trigger, I think even then you are looking at 1850. So that's decent upside in a frontline stock. 4-5% fall, yes, certainly unnerving, but I would not read too much into it.
Okay. Just putting up IT, and it's been a little up and down on IT. Remember, laggards for the last year, some amount of recovery towards the end of 2025. Still a little choppy in the first few days of the new year. Currently looking strong. It's interesting, we've actually got, again, Jefferies coming out with a note on IT stocks saying that they are, of course, sounding cautionary, but still overall optimistic at this point of time. And they've picked, of course, a couple of key stocks, and I'll run you through those. They have said that AI will continue weighing on growth in 2026 as more clients ask for productivity benefits, but it's still positive over the long run, and that the share of hardware spend in overall IT budgets should rise further, dragging IT services spend for the moment. So they are expecting growth to improve, and they are overall optimistic, but still moderate at this point of time. Let me take a look at some of the names that they're bullish on as well for you. I think HCL Tech from the frontliners is one of the names that's on their list. And along with that, they've also got some of the mid-cap names like Coforce, Agility, IKS, Emphasis, and a whole host of these. Infosys and HCL from the heavyweights are what they're looking at. Sharad, how are you viewing the IT stack, and where are you looking for value amongst this basket?
Yeah, I'm also of the view that most probably the type of steps that most IT companies have taken, most probably our growth and everything will move in tandem with what's happening internationally with the larger peers. So yeah, within the front lines, I think Infosys certainly looks good. If you're looking at high margin of safety, I think Wipro is a good bet. Wipro and HCL Tech are also, beneficiaries of the data center boom that we are seeing, which is obviously connected to AI. So if we are playing for a long-term theme, I think Wipro certainly makes the cut. Infosys is a good bet long term. I think the type of strategies, etc., that they're putting in place and the valuations currently they're trading at do not have much of fraud. So there could be some re-rating there. Whether this happens this quarter or next quarter, we need to see. But if you have to mix and match, I think Wipro would remain a strong bet considering the long-term data center ploy and the valuation comfort that you have at current valuations. And in the small cap, mid cap space, I think something like a Mastech would be a good story. Something like an Orient Tech we have been looking at. I think that's a good domestic oriented story. And Cyient could be one story that could surprise you on the upside. We believe Orient Tech and Cyient will have much better second halves. And Cyient also had that semiconductor sideline to it. So I think Cyient could be a good mid cap, small cap story that you can look at. Orient Tech could continue to do well, though it has moved up most probably in the recent past. So maybe it has moved up. So Cyient and Wipro would be my preferred choices within that.
All right, Sharad, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for joining us and sharing strategy as well as key picks with our audience this morning. Do stay tuned, and we'll be back at 3 p.m. for market closing as well. A decent start this morning, slight downtick on the index, but lots of earnings and other rating action ahead of the quarterly reports. Thanks so much for watching.